I do kind of laugh when I hear your growl with Electrocutioner because it always I always feel like you're about to break into the Hulk Hogan impression because they're very similar.
I tell people one of my biggest vocal influences is the Ultimate Warrior. Like when the Ultimate Warrior's like, "Oh God, like the ultimate sacrifice." I'm just like, there should be not that far. But I was like, why isn't that singer just sound like the Ultimate Warrior?
Oh man,
you got to do your Hulk Hogan now, though.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. You know, me and my son Nick, man, we were driving in my yellow Corvette Jack. We saw a palm tree, man. My ex-wife Linda, dude, she's hanging out with Eric Bischoff, Uncle Easy E, man, and we're just hanging out backstage. Electrocution Mania, what you gonna do when Tyler's 3-inch python runs wild on you?
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was good.
That was amazing. Battle Line Podcast. You guys are probably wondering if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, go over to YouTube. You're like, where is this place? So this is actually Mark from Electrocutioner's basement. And as I say during the show, it's pretty cool that Mark actually owns a home, which is rare here on Long Island. I feel like all of us are renting apartments. So I go way back with these guys. In fact, if you look back to the episodes at my apartment prior to the one I'm usually at, when I was in Connecticut, these two guys, Mark and Rich from Electrocutioner, helped me move out of that apartment into the new apartment. So maybe I owed it to those guys from a couple years back to have them on the show. If you've been a long-time listener, you know that we normally, 80 or so % of the time, have Spec Ops military guys on, contractors on, but I like to switch it up, and this is definitely one of those shows where we switched it up. So if you're a fan of old-school thrash metal, you're going to absolutely love this episode. If you are not a fan of old school thrash metal, I can't make any promises, but maybe you will like this episode. But before we get into everything, Bubs Naturals is one of our great sponsors, and I should actually tell you that I went for a run this morning, and it's hot weather right now in Long Island, right? I had one of those great hydrate or die packets, lemon flavor, after my run, and those are amazing. Between the coconut water and the Himalayan pink salt for electrolytes, just absolutely great supplement right there. Their collagen protein, great for post-workout recovery. I love their stuff. Chris loves their stuff. And if you're a first-time customer, you will get 20% off just for being a fan of Battle Line Podcast. So go to bubsnaturals.com, use the promo code BattleLine for 20% off. That's bubsnaturals.com. Promo code BattleLine. I am in basement with the guys from Electrocutioner. So let's hit it.
From Kansas City to New York City, from planet Earth to extraterrestrial life in space, a podcast with no equal, engaged in unconventional warfare through your speakers and headphones. This is a show about embracing the suck, conquering your demons, and finding God in the face of adversity. Chris Tonto Peranto.
Switch is on. Motherfucker, I'm gonna shoot you in the face.
Ian Scotto.
You know, Ian and I have been dating for a long time.
You are now tuned into the Battle Line Podcast.
Like, am I be able to get the intro?
Starting off, and ready? In 5.
We should use all of this.
Wayne's World, in 5.
I'll leave it.
The Switch is on, Battle Line Podcast, which, ironically, is the title of one of the early Electrocutioner songs. I'm in studio with Electrocutioner, but by in studio, I mean Mark's basement. So.
That's right.
Hold on. What fucking song is The Switch is on?
That's an early song. It's pre-Tyler.
Yeah, tell them about The Switch is on.
Yeah, so I think it was our second song we recorded was The Switch is on, inspired by your boy Tonto's experiences in Benghazi. It actually is a pivotal song because then we kind of changed our style a bit. But
Yeah, I was gonna say
we've been
apparently
meaning
it's not good
to
enough.
recycle that song. Yeah.
I mean, the truth is, actually, especially with Tyler joining the band, I should say, like, you guys have really stepped up the production value from that point. And then you watch the videos of the new stuff, which is Seven Lamps of Fire. If people want to check it out, Heaven's Gate.
Yep.
Like, audio quality, video quality. Of course, Rich's experience with mixing, which he does professionally. Like, yeah, it's sounding much fuller, much bigger. I'm loving it.
So we're trying to step everything up, Tyler. Woo! Yeah, he's on the drums. He's sounding good. Rich is no longer doing it professionally, though. He got fired.
Yeah, he did get fired.
I did not get fired.
He quit, right?
Right?
Did you quit or get fired?
Quit.
You're putting me on the spot here. You know what I should...
Nobody wants to admit that he got fired.
That's true. It sounds like I got
Rich
fired.
is great though with live audio and all that, which I know translates to like what you guys do in the studio. You know what I was gonna say though? Speaking of how I said we're in studio, but we're really in your basement. The fact that, like, I was thinking about this on the way here. The fact that you even own a home, like, makes you super successful on Long Island terms. Like, even though none of you're younger, Tyler, but. The three of us are closer to our 40s, and you are one of the only people I know who owns a home in like modern day America.
Cheers to that, the American dream. 1 out of 4.
Which I actually should say too. You're one of the people who I think does a great job of balancing like that work-life situation. The fact that you still do shows in different states with your band, like you're a school teacher, and I think that's
Allegedly.
You're married for many years.
Damn right.
I think a lot of people do struggle with that work-life balance.
It is a testament to not being a degenerate. You know.
But you are one.
No. See, and you gotta have morals. You can't just spend your money. As Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you can tell who's been skinny dipping, man. You gotta fucking be prepared for these.
But you're an alcoholic.
No. That's not what.
Since when, bud?
I mean, what is an alcoholic? You gotta go to rehab or get arrested, right? How would you classify?
Did you get arrested for pissing outside?
No.
You could be a highly functioning.
No, I'm definitely not an alcoholic.
But-
But that's a good point.
The only highly functioning he is his
I would
autism.
say we are regular guys. We're regular guys.
Yeah.
We're regular guys. We're not, no one's got mommy and daddy's money in this band. We're fucking working.
Well, actually, with the amount of projects that Tyler does, which I should say Tyler's on drums, Rich is bass, Mark on vocals and guitar. With the amount of projects you do,
I don't get paid for shit, dude.
so I was wondering, like, is this what you do professionally?
I get paid for that, but not enough to make a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I see the amount of projects you're in, and I'm like, does Tyler have like a full-time job outside of all this? Is he able to balance all of it?
Yeah, it's beyond stressful.
Plug
Yeah,
the shop.
Actually,
There you go.
record stop, baby.
Nice. I don't know how many of our viewers and listeners are even on.
Yeah, they don't really give a shit.
They
But
might.
you know what?
They might. But
We wholesale.
But
Buy
you
from
ship
us.
a lot of stuff across the country
Yeah,
for
we
like
do.
Record Store Day.
yeah,
that's true.
Didn't you tell me like you guys get like at least 20% of like those Record Store Day and you sell them?
Yeah, we kill it on that.
I should tell.
And I bring all in all the good metal.
I should tell the audience like my background with the guys in Electrocutioner, which is really before Tyler joined and all that. But a lot of people know me originally for Soft Rep Radio, and it's weird how this all intertwines. I am very good friends with Mark's brother, and Mark said, "You got to go see." Steve, your brother, said, "You got to go see my brother's band, Kings of the Ring. It's the first ever wrestling theme song cover band." I never met you guys prior to that, but I was like, "I'll come out." On the way to the gig, I get a text from Brandon Webb asking if I wanted to be producer for Soft Rep Radio, and this is probably like
I didn't know that.
like 11 years ago at this point.
Oh, man.
I think, right?
What's-
Whenever
what's-
you started
2013. I mean, it's possible.
whenever you started Kings of the Ring is when I really started doing podcasts.
All right,
So it
wow.
all intertwines. But yeah, you guys have one of the greatest bands ever with Kings of the Ring. So actually, we should get into that.
Let's do a reunion.
Yeah, we
I
should
mean,
get
I wasn't a part of it, but
Get
I want to
into
play.
because anyone in the audience who loves professional wrestling would love Kings of the Ring. So actually, yeah, both of you guys get into the origins of that band.
So that band really started when I was in like 6th grade. Honestly, Steven, my brother, Tank, who you're friends with, he would always, because Long Island is full of cover bands. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a fucking plague.
Yeah.
Like
300
300
cover band.
Yeah, I mean that's cool, but it's like
Yeah, that's the cooler part
it's
of it.
cool. I mean, like 200 people will go see a Queens or like an Iron Maiden cover band. Then you have a local metal show on Long Island. There's 30 people. It's like, where are these
Nah,
people?
fuck that. How many times do I have to walk into a bar and hear Mr. Brightside?
Oh yeah. Oh, that's not even metal. I mean,
Yeah, but you know what? The metal ones are cooler because every other one is like fucking, oh yeah, let's play Mr. Brightside and My Own Worst Enemy from Lit.
No hating.
Rich
on
has been in a band like that.
I was too.
Yeah, 90s band.
God
cover
damn.
band.
I was in one too. And I was doing blast beats to Pat Benatar in the middle of a bar.
Hell is
So,
for
like,
Children?
No,
Great song.
Heartbreaker.
Great song, Hell is for Children. But yeah, no, ever since I would, I played piano when I was younger, and I would always fucking just use piano just to learn wrestling songs. I'd always be playing shit. My brother would say, there should be a band that just covers wrestling songs. It was always a joke. And one time I told my buddy Tom, I said, I got this, we've had this idea forever. And he was like, we got to do it. And then we played shows, we dress up as wrestlers, but it's like GWAR. We're making fun of it like a parody, but we get blackout drunk and play 35 songs. But it took off. People offered us money. Like, people offered us, like, we'll give you $1,000 to play our bachelor party. The funniest one was Barbecue, which is a barbecue restaurant.
I was at this gig.
In Patchogue. They paid us $500. Say, hey, we heard your wrestling theme song cover band play. So we played, actually, we used to do, back in the day, we'd have an intermission.
Oh,
We'd play 15 songs, take a break, and then do another 15 songs. And in the intermission, I'll never forget, I was taking a piss in the bathroom. The owner of Barbecue was like, it sounds good, but I thought you guys were playing wrestling songs. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I thought you guys were supposed to be covering wrestling theme songs. Like, what the fuck? That's what we've been doing this whole time. So I guess we were that bad. He didn't recognize one of them.
I wonder if part of it is, I think it depends what era you're doing songs from. So
Yeah.
for me, as someone who grew up during the 90s era with Bret Hart and Yokozuna, when you guys do the new stuff, I don't know any of that.
Right, yeah. So we try to do, we've done certain shows where like Attitude Era only shows or, like the 90s or WCW, so.
So actually, speaking of that gig, Rich, do you know why that gig is infamous?
Do you know why, Rich?
Yeah, that's when your brother met his wife.
Yes.
I also got I got on probation from that show. So I'm not gonna go into why.
Oh, yeah.
Suffolk
That
County
happened too.
PD. We beat the charges.
Oh, man.
We beat it. But yeah, so I mean, it was a big parody band. We still get offers.
Did you do Benoit's theme?
We've done Benoit.
Yeah,
of
of course.
We used to open with Benoit.
Well, you know what's a funny thing with Electrocutioner, because I'm so plugged into what you have done over the years with Kings of the Ring, I do kind of laugh when I hear your growl with Electrocutioner, because it always I always feel like you're about to break into the Hulk Hogan impression, because they're very similar.
I tell people one of my biggest vocal influences is the Ultimate Warrior. Like when the Ultimate Warrior's like, oh God, like the ultimate sacrifice. I'm just like, there should be, there should be, not that far. But I was like, why isn't that singers just sound like the Ultimate Warrior?
Oh, man.
You got to do your Hulk Hogan now, though.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Me and my son Nick, man, we were driving in my yellow Corvette Jack. We saw a palm tree, man. My ex-wife Linda, dude, she's hanging out with Eric Bischoff, Uncle Easy E, man. And we're just hanging out backstage. Electrocution Mania, what you gonna do when Tyler's 3-inch python runs wild on you?
That was amazing.
Yeah, that was good.
That was amazing.
I do a good Bret Hart.
They might have to be at the top of the show that we play.
That's fine. I do a good Bret Hart.
Bret Hart, do Bret Hart.
3-inch python, I'll take it.
Me and my brother Owen, we were wrestling Yokozuna, Diesel, Shawn Michaels, and the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Bill Goldberg. Who killed WCW? It was Bill Goldberg.
I love it, man.
never
But I also love Bill Goldberg.
Me and my father Stu.
I remember at one point.
My brother On. I don't know that because he doesn't say Owen, he says RN. Me and my brother On. Rest in peace, my brother Arnhart.
I remember.
Davey boy.
I remember
My sister Martha and her brother On.
Okay, Rich. So I remember at one point you were ready to tap out from the band from Kings of the Ring, and they were saying you cannot leave.
Whoa. Rich has quit Kings of the Ring 10 times.
At least.
And I would
why? It's
well,
such a great
before
band
he,
that only does like
Great
2
question.
shows a year.
Before he tells you why,
And I'm crying right
He's
now.
also quit his job.
he would quit the band. Allegedly, yeah. So he quit the band like 10 times, but like whenever we get offered a show, like, yo, you want to just like jam on Kings of the Ring? And then he'd come over like, yo, but we got a show tomorrow. And then he would just, because Rich is such a nice guy, he would do it. But yeah, ask him why.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I don't
wondering.
even
What was
know
the
why.
deal? Because I always felt like it was the most fun band to be
What's
a
your
part
fucking
of.
problem, right?
I don't know. I was working on a lot of projects at the time. So
Like what?
I had a couple
Name one
bands,
project,
solo
right?
projects.
Name one.
Name one. I did a lot. Okay,
So, all right.
And
so
where
I
are
should-
they now?
that's true. That is true.
Sorry.
So I
He
should
had
say,
a-
so getting to the Electrocutioner stuff, that was when Kings of the Ring at one point kind of took a long hiatus. Electrocutioner came about.
Yep.
So get into the origin story of the band, because as I said, everything is really
Yeah.
stepped up. People check out those videos, which I'm sure will play. Like, you guys are really doing some awesome stuff right now.
the greatest
and
band in the world.
Shows coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
No, so the origins of the band, actually,
Was actually just Mark saying,
Yes.
we really need a band that rips off Whiplash, and then this just happened.
so actually, I've never told the true origin of the band. I've
Ooh,
always
breaking
told-
story.
And it's pretty good.
Oh man.
I've never, because basically what happened was we were originally going to reunite my old hardcore band called Lace Joint during COVID, and I called the original drummer, said come jam. But what I told Rich was, because Kings of the Ring I was getting bored of, and I wanted a new parody band, so I told him we were going to do this new band called Nuns and Roses, where we dressed up as nuns and played Guns N' Roses songs. Like instead of Rocket Queen, it'd be like, Hail Mary Queen, like, so do like hand out communions. And when Rich got to practice,
November communion.
I was like, yeah. So I started playing riffs, and Rich was like, I thought we were doing like a Guns N' Roses Catholic parody band. I was like, no, I changed it. We're doing Old School Thrash. So I kind of lied to Rich. That's the actual original story. And then
That's the only way to get Rich to agree to things. You have to lie to
we
him.
just con.
Yeah.
He's so dumb that he believes everything we tell him, right, Rich?
That's true.
We've always said that Rich is like an alien.
We told him you were going to pay him $500 for doing this podcast.
Yeah, I did say that.
And so then you guys had a lineup change. You had an original drummer, Ian, not myself. And I feel like Tyler joining actually has really stepped things up.
Absolutely.
What happened was I jammed with Extinction for a couple months.
It wasn't good enough.
Yeah, it
Tyler's a
wasn't
great
good enough.
drummer.
They told me to go fuck myself. But then Rick was like, you know what? There's another band that's not as good as us.
True.
That's looking for a drummer. And I was like, all right, I mean, I guess if you guys don't want me, someone else will.
So yeah, our drummer quit the day he was recording drums. He basically quit, and to be honest, like the band, I always think we were like a band that was really good on paper, but just for whatever he had going on, we always sucked live. Like Rich can tell you, we had some train wrecks live only on the drums for whatever it is. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but that's what it was. I mean, like we can never realize the vision. So when he left, Extinction AD, thank God they hooked us up with Tyler, and yeah, he's really just stepped us up to the fucking next level. Honestly,
Can I just tell one of my favorite stories that
You
Mark
say
ever
whatever you
said?
want, man.
It was the fact that as soon as I joined, they were like, yeah, we had a couple good shows, but there was this one show that Ian literally stood up in the middle of the song and stopped playing because he was out of breath.
Yeah, he was a big drinker. Like if we had a
Over to the
show,
bar.
and it was fun, but it didn't translate to good shows. Like we'd have a show at 9 p.m. in Pennsylvania, and when we load up the gear at 9 a.m. here, we have like 3 beers on. So it wasn't conducive to putting on consistent shows. And our EPs, to your point, we've actually been talking about, and then the people who like us have been telling us we might re-record our EPs because the quality assurance was not there.
It was my idea.
So if we're not going to record all of them, we might just take a selected few songs or the better songs that don't sound like ass and re-record them, because Tyler is adding, fucking fire on the drums,
Why would you rather do that though than like just do more new material? Do you just think those songs are
No,
very strong?
That's actually a question I asked. We're scheduled to start doing our second album in November. We're going to start recording it. So once that's done, we might. It's not going to. The thing is, we don't have to write the songs. We don't have to rehearse the songs. Tyler knows them like the back of his hand. So to re-record these songs would take literally an hour.
Well,
Okay.
actually,
So
I
it might
don't
be
really know
future.
the songs.
So it might be like a future thing that's really easy. But to your point, we don't. We're not, like we said, we don't have mommy and daddy's money. So
There has been plenty of shows where like we go to start the song and then I'm like, wait, has this one start again?
But we don't have mommy and daddy's money, so we got to really pick and choose our battles until we get a little, more well known. So we're gonna do the second album, and if we have enough money and we got the time, we'll probably just do it. Yeah.
So for the audience, this basement, I mean, you could see if you're watching on YouTube some of the posters here, but Rich and his Mark, I'm mixing up all your names, so I usually just have one person in front of me here. Mark and his wife are like huge metalheads. I've got, Death Stuff over here and the Misfits, and even though it's really more punk rock and Typo Negative and stuff. So
literally, you picked all three of Amanda's thing. none of mine.
Amanda's wall. Amanda gets this side of the basement. I got all the shit over there.
We got the Metallica pinball machine, but
Yeah.
so people probably want to know who aren't familiar with you guys, just checking out the podcast, like who influenced Electrocutioner. Who are your biggest influences?
I would say our biggest influences are Whiplash, as Tyler mentioned, 3-piece Jersey thrash band that we are playing with next week at New Jersey Metal Fest.
By the
This
time
will
this is up,
definitely not
though,
be aired.
that'll have happened, right?
So we're time traveling, but we are luckily playing with them. Exorcist, Megadeth, and then that's like the song structures, like that's who we kind of aim for, but who's influencing Tyler or Rich is really...
Yeah,
We're
get-
trying to make
get
our own
into it,
sound. Yeah, Tyler
Who
and Rich.
influences both of you guys?
That's
the
my
most?
shit. I'm a Megadeth
Yeah.
guy, Whiplash guy.
Yeah, I mean, Rich likes
Slayer.
butt metalcore.
Oh, Tyler, you love Nickelback, man.
Nickelback fucking rules, dude. You cannot sit there and tell me that All the Right Reasons is not a great record.
To his point, Tyler liked Creed and Nickelback before it was a meme.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, me and your brother love. Me and your
Yeah,
brother
you
saw,
just saw
Creed
Creed, I know, yeah.
at Mohegan Sun during like the
Wasn't he
reunion.
wasted? Wasn't he drunk as fuck?
No.
Was that a different show?
I
thought you guys
never
saw-
saw him drunk.
Oh,
He
okay.
was But okay, influences.
Yeah.
I mean, Judas Priest is the big one. I mean, I got it tattooed on me, and we also have a video where they were making fun of me for it. That Suicidal Tendencies is big.
Have you checked out KK's Priest? Because they weren't able to go to the Patchogue show, but
All right, listen.
I was super impressed.
All right, as one of the world's biggest Judas Priest fans, fuck all of you guys that think you're bigger than me. KK's Priest is not that great.
I really dig them, man, and I really dig Ripper live.
I love Ripper, don't get me wrong, and I think that them playing the songs sounds great. But those studio albums,
The first,
there's 2 of them,
yeah.
and there's about 6 songs that are good over the course of 24.
Well, I'll tell you this. So after I saw them live, which I was super impressed. You guys know I'm a huge 80s hair metal fan. I mainly went because LA Guns was on the bill.
Yeah, fuck yeah, LA Guns rules.
But I wanted to see KK's Priest. Totally blew me away. Ended up buying both CDs and actual CDs. Burning Witches.
Oh, okay.
They're sick,
They're
too.
Aren't
great.
they a Canadian girl band, right?
No,
Metal
they're
band?
not Canadian.
I thought they were
think,
European.
Yeah, they're like European.
But they're like
like
blonde-
Scandinavian or something.
Blonde
Yeah.
girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I picked up both those CDs. The first one, I'm not that impressed by. The second one, I think, has some real.
Yeah, the second one was definitely better. The first one had... What the fuck was that song on it?
I'd have to remember, like
Who cares?
from the
What was
second
it, Hail
one. I
for
really,
the Priest or something
maybe
like that?
I
That's
really
all-
like One Shot at Glory. One More Shot at Glory. The Sinner
Yeah,
Rides
dude,
Again.
the song title names are embarrassing. Like,
I dig
One
them.
More Shot at Glory, yeah, like, you guys couldn't think... What, you doing a line of coke?
I had to. No, I had to blow my nose, man.
Dude, it's like,
Hollywood.
One More Shot at Glory, like, you really had to use that song title? Like, you did One Shot at Glory already.
But I needed
Come
one
on.
more, man.
Yeah. That, Return of the Sentinel. The fuck was the other
What are
one?
we talking about? KK's Priest.
No, because I'm just wondering because he's a Judas Priest fan. So Rich,
Tyler, yeah, that's
influences.
I listen to everything, so it's
You do.
kind of hard. But for this band in particular, the ones I use for references a lot, I try to put a lot of like Maiden influences in there, Children of Bodom, and In Flames.
And you, by and large, are like the engineer, producer of everything.
Yep.
Like, I've just listened to everything progress from the first EPs to now. Talk about that process.
And not only to add to that, besides, and he can go, but even live, he's...
Yeah.
If you've seen us live 3 years ago compared to now, it's like the shit he's added to it. So, go ahead, Rich.
Well, it's also because Rich doesn't play a normal bass.
Yeah, Rich is a womp. Tell him, Rich.
wild
You just
card.
ordered a custom
Yeah,
bass.
why don't you tell them what fucking tuning you play in?
Yeah, talk.
Jerk
Rich.
off.
Talk for once.
I basically just play in a drop tuning while they play in a standard tuning, so I just have to transcribe a whole step for low notes. But it's actually for a reason. It's for octaves, easier octaves.
But get
like
into
a
like the
whole lot of
production,
bullshit.
whether it's the live engineering, the production of the albums, like the whole process behind it. Because when you listen to the newest songs, like you guys sound like a professional band.
And that was all Rich.
Yeah, from the beginning.
He's actually see Rich right behind us. That's where we did the album. Right?
Yeah,
This
and it
exact
sounds
spot.
great. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds incredible. I think so.
Yeah, thanks for what we had. It was just a progression. Honestly, with like gear too, because it was like it was. We almost started like we were back in time, because it was like we used the kind of like the same mentality of like the old school recording techniques, and then we stepped it up another way, and then another. And then people have said even like, oh, this sounds like it could be from like the 80s, and then this one can sound like it's from the 90s, and then now the new one sounds more modern, and it's like each one had a different take, a different thought process of recording techniques.
And know what your listeners, because you got your listeners, I would say, aren't like crazy into the weeds with this shit. But a lot of people,
some are.
Right. Well, so maybe some of them will know. A lot of these guys nowadays, I'm against it. It's really it's fake to me. Maybe you won't know this, but like what a lot of guys will do nowadays is they record their guitar, right?
And then they speed it up, right?
No. What they'll do is they'll record their guitar, right? And instead, like what we did for the album is this would sound like common sense to you. We put an amplifier and we put a mic in front of it. And I play guitar and we recorded the amplifier, and that's the album you hear.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
But that's normal. What these guys do nowadays is they record into a computer, and then they'll pick like, I want to sound like Metallica, Master of Puppets. You can literally download that sound, and it changes the guitar to that sound. So it's not what they actually played. They didn't get that real sound. Where Rich was like, no, we're gonna hook up microphones and get the real sounds. So it was much harder to do, and sometimes it's actually a negative because you get the real imperfection of being.
I also
live.
happened to learn the songs as you were recording them.
Nice.
So,
But that's another thing. We didn't cheat with a lot of these kids nowadays. They're like snipping things. It's like every take, and it was a detriment sometimes, but it was like a positive because we had to earn it. It's like no, this isn't Pro Tools where you can just like copy and paste everything and just auto engineer shit. It's like we actually recorded this live.
yeah, it's actually funny.
When you said like cheating with, I thought you were going to talk about speeding things up. I said.
Well, some people do that. Some guitar players will record their parts like 75%.
Well,
of the
I
speed,
remember I heard that about like that. I don't really
Time
know them
stretching.
well, but I remember hearing about that band Rings of Saturn. People were saying that everything was sped up. There's a lot of stuff people do in the studio that's just crazy.
Metallica and Megadeth, they always sped their shit up. Like they would, but the thing is, they recorded it super fast and then just sped up to make it lightning speed. So that Megadeth's first album is like it's just humanly impossible to play that fast sometimes. So they sped that up. But like these guys nowadays, they're playing very low BPMs. Or all of ours are over 200, and these guys are playing at like half speed to make it perfect. And it's like that's just cheating, man.
And you guys also play completely live, from what I know, right? Which
What do you mean?
You don't use any tracks. You know.
Oh no, yeah, we don't. We were talking about that. We don't use any click tracks, nothing. We just.
What do you think of it? Because I think it depends on the band, and I also think it depends on the amount. So.
I think it's fucking lame.
But one, I could tell you that like the last time I saw them, I go, all right, this is pretty excessive. So, great band. This is not like firing shots, at least in my opinion. Born of Osiris, right? They use a lot of electronics. They're almost like a cross between EDM and metal.
Yeah.
Right? But so they recently lost a member who does a lot of stuff. He does keyboards, he does backing vocals, and one of the guitarists also plays bass on the albums. So now when you see them live, it's two guitarists. The bass is on a track, the backing vocals are on a track, all the sampling is on a track, the keyboards are now on a track.
Right.
So it's like, is this even a live show at this point?
Yeah.
And I like them, and they're all really good musicians. But I do feel like at that point it's a little excessive.
I would say backing tracks and like clicks, they're fine. If you're like a huge band, we're not a huge band. Like if you're playing professional festivals, like you might need that because it's so hard to hear when you're playing something that big. But like, and if you have all these samples, you're gonna need that shit.
But that's the thing, you're not a band that uses like electronics that much,
right. So
yeah.
to me, I just think I want to be Motorhead. I just want to be a bar band that plays loud. But the more complicated you make that, if you're having samples and keyboards and you don't have a guy, like you might need it. But I just think it's silly. I mean,
I did
No great
the click track.
There's no great bands that I know that like Motorhead didn't use a fucking click track. You know what I mean? So
I did the
that's where it
click
stops for
track.
me.
The click track is good in a way. Like, it kind of helps. Like, when I played with Extinction AD, we did the click track, and that was also because, like, at the end of the song, or at the beginning of the song, it'd start with a
Sample.
little sample or whatever.
That makes sense.
Or there would be, like, a already programmed bass drop, which with Prong, I have the...
Which we should get into that you play in prom.
Yeah. I have the little sample pad, so when I'm playing, like if they're like in Broken Piece, when I'm hitting the spot, I'll just hit the bass drop so that it automatically hits. I don't need a click track or anything for that. But Extinction, we had it where it was that. It was good because adrenaline-wise, when you start a set, sometimes mainly for me, you could start a set or a song faster than you're able to play.
Sure.
I've definitely played some songs with these assholes where I started because he's like, oh, start fast. And then all of a sudden I'll go to play the double bass part that I recorded much faster than I could even play it on the recording. Like, what fucking... Throne Possessor. The whole verse is just... And then all of a sudden we'll start the song and then he'll be like, nah, it's gotta be faster. I'm like, asshole, I want to throw the drumstick at him. But then we... but then if I had it like... If I had a click track to exactly what the record was, I wouldn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But some people want that. It's not like, listen, I don't mind it. I like playing without a click track because I can go as fast or as slow as I want. I mean, we always end up playing our shit faster anyways. But
you know what I saw recently in terms of triggers that was kind of crazy, because more and more metal bands in particular are using these triggers.
Death metal should be done with triggers.
So I saw not death metal, even though they do have some death metal influence. I saw Fear Factory play what was Nokia
Okay.
times. So I gotta tell you what I saw though, and I'm not a drummer. I know you're super critical of drummer because you're good at what you do. I noticed there were two things going on with the drums. There was some type of electronic drum that was not totally in sync with what it was playing live, and great drummer, but there was definitely some type of electronic backing that to anyone who really knows music, it was noticeable.
Pete Weber is an incredible drummer. I think that's probably.
I think that is, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's
I know
from
that
Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, Mike Heller, was the drummer before.
Mike
him.
Heller, who I can tell you, amazing drummer, the most boring live drummer you'll ever see. He plays like
What band
this.
is this again? I'm sorry.
Fear Factory.
Fear Factory.
But Mike Heller plays in
I don't know.
Raven now.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, he's the drummer.
Great
for
drummer,
Raven.
but watch him
Young
live.
dude.
The most boring live performer you will ever see.
Yeah,
Really?
you know what the thing about.
It looks like he's behind a desk. Just like,
So, the thing about, like, triggers is, like, I am very anti them when it comes to, because I watch a lot of drummers play heel toe. I think there's no power behind it, so I'll suffer myself and just put as much power into it to get that. But a lot of death metal, because of how fast it is, if you don't have, like, I like a low-tuned kick drum. Like, I like it low, I like it to just be like that. If you have a low-tuned kick drum and you start going way too fast on it, it becomes like mud, and then you can't hear it. I've heard from friends that basically death metal bands that go on tour without triggers is basically career suicide because you can't hear shit.
but what about... It's funny because we got death in front
Fear
of us.
Factory, though,
Okay.
as a very industrial band,
Sure.
that their entire sound is basically robotic.
It's supposed to sound robotic.
They
yes.
should 1000% have triggers. Like when
But
you
what
hear a
was that
song
when I
like
heard-
Self-Bias Resistor.
Yeah. But what was that when I heard
Like-
two things going on? Because I noticed that.
It could be it could be the track behind it. It could be, I mean, I don't know what song it was during.
Yeah.
I don't know what else because I know like they have a lot of keyboards and shit. So like it could be like an extra added thing, like a fucking like a random like tom hit or whatever. I have no idea, but yeah,
But
it's
when
like
you're saying death metal bands can't tour without triggers, it's funny because I'm looking at the death poster in front of me. All these bands from the 80s and 90s, they didn't have all that, and they toured.
Yeah, Tom.
no, you're right. But you know, fuck you, dude. You're right.
I'm wondering. 'cause
But at
I mean,
least,
that's a good
at
question.
least in like with the, because even drummers now, you look at Paul from Cannibal Corpse. I'm pretty sure he uses triggers now.
My thing is, I think it sounds stupid because
It sounds stupid if you don't have the right trigger.
No, it's not that
You
it
can
just-
have you can have whatever sound you want.
My thing is, it's not that it just sounds stupid. It's like the classic business question: who asked for this? Like, who went to a show and said, I wish the double bass pedal sounded exactly the same every single time. It's like
It's
no
not
one
even
ever
that.
said that. So right, but I'm just saying,
It's just so it sounds clear. Like, listen, I don't
but
use
no one asked. No, what I'm saying is a great point. Yeah, I get it. But no one's ever went to a metal show in the 80s and 90s and said, I wish the double bass was clear. Like, I think it's a band thing. The bands were on stage and they wanted to sound better.
Yeah,
and I think
then-
it came from that because
and
the
then
crowd,
since
the
then-
crowd doesn't give a shit.
And since then, it's just become
Yeah.
like an industry standard.
It makes sense though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I guess we're calling out bands here, but
Oh.
you and I mean, I'm just going to give honest opinion. I have mentioned on the show, when you and I saw Wasp,
Oh yeah.
we might as well just listen to the CD, because it
Yeah,
wasn't
that was
just
fake.
triggers, it was
vocals.
everything was on
I don't
the
give
track.
a fuck. They were awesome that
Were
night.
you like that? But were they awesome?
Paramount?
Yeah, were they
Yeah,
awesome?
they were fucking awesome. I don't give a shit.
But Blackie Wallace sounded exactly like he sounded in
Okay.
1989.
Okay,
and-
great. And then when he got on top of the fucking thing and started swinging it back and forth during fucking what song was that?
But that's gotta bother you as someone who's
Was that
somewhat
Chainsaw
of a
Charlie?
purist.
I gotta say, it's like eating a Snickers bar. Like, it tastes good in the moment, but like, you gotta know it's not good for you. It's
Well,
Is
put
that
it this
Chainsaw-
way,
is that
I had
Chainsaw
It was
a,
Charlie?
lip
Charlie?
syncing. You didn't sing a song, I don't think, at all.
I had a great time with you. Like
I had
at
a
that
No,
show.
you could definitely tell that he sang a couple
I
of
don't
his
think
tracks.
he did. I don't think he did.
You know who does it? Steel Panther does it. And you know what? They do the verses and everything are 100% live.
I have no respect.
cor-
If you can't sing, just
Shut the fuck up.
No, just retire. man.
Anyways,
Just retire.
no, because you know what?
There's
The
no
one
shame
thing
in
that
that.
listen, I think that every band should play live.
But you
But you know
just
what?
said Wasp was great.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. I think every band should play live, but also at the same time, if it keeps that band touring,
But they shouldn't be touring. That's the thing.
but like there's two bands that do
It's
it.
like
that
Kiss.
well, Kiss sucks.
But
Anyways,
why does Kiss
I
suck
do.
and Wasp is great? It's the
Kiss
same
just
thing.
Kiss is just a fucking doo-wop band with like fuck that.
My thing is that
anyway, I don't give a
you
shit.
can't be-
Fuck Kiss. Fuck Kiss.
There's
Wow.
there's no. No, I like Kiss. But there's no shame in saying, "Hey, I'm in my 60s. I can't do this."
I agree,
anymore."
and-
there's no shame in that. It's like, thank you for your service.
Yeah, I'll give you
You don't
one-
need to lip sync.
So I'll give you one of someone who was a guest on the show, and I sent you some of this, and I think you felt the same way. So I am a huge Dokken fan.
Yeah,
I
so
know
it's a
you're
great
a Dokken
interview, by
fan.
the way. Great interview.
Thank you. The last album that Don Dokken put out, whatever he's able to do in the studio, it was a really good album.
It was
I'm
a very good album.
impressed.
I made them listen to it. Yeah, that's
I
great.
like this
However, he's not able to do that live, and it's like at that point, maybe just continue making music. But if you really cannot sing the songs live, you are tarnishing your legacy.
So there's two things, like about the two bands that do the backing
Steel
tracks.
Panther, yeah.
Steel Panther does it, which they put on an amazing show outside.
What do they
that.
do though? What do they do though?
The backing tracks, like the choruses, are not sung live. Everything else is, and they also have they have that whole comedy
Well,
shtick.
who
The
asked
entire
for
rest.
that? Who said? I wish the
keeps
choruses were perfect.
No, not
Nobody.
even that. But it just that they're able to go on tour. He doesn't hurt his voice as bad.
I also
you know,
feel
I'll
like
give it to
Steel-
you. You know
Go
who
on
else
tour.
does it? The other band that does it is Shinedown, which that's a band that I fucking love.
Really? Wow.
And Brent Smith is one of the best singers in fucking hard
But
rock
if he's
history.
a great singer, why is he doing that?
I think it's because of how many layers
These
there are.
cutting corners.
Yeah, I mean,
And
so
you know
that's-
what? I'll give the cutting corners if it means that band gets to stay on tour for a longer time.
So I mean, Mark, I know you listen to Howard Stern all the time,
Yeah, hell yeah,
and I'm not a fan of this band at all. But this was one that was kind of interesting when, and I don't know if you remember this, when Coldplay played on the show. Howard said, "Wow, that was an amazing harmony that you just did there. Could you guys just do that a cappella? I want to hear that again." And they were like, "No, we're not able to do it. That's all on a track."
Yeah, I think it's.
And that's it's
I
disappointing
think it's
to people.
disgusting. I think that, in my opinion, and it's an opinion. I'm not saying
you're
I
not
don't
right.
enjoy it. No, because I'm
Fuckhead.
a big fan of rock and roll history. Like I love like rock and roll and jazz from the 30s and how it progressed. The reason the electric guitar existed is because blues and jazz musicians would be playing acoustic in the dance halls, and they couldn't hear it, so they need to amplify. They need it louder. You know what I mean? So the reason the electric guitar existed was just to make it louder. There's no reason for the back. No one ever said couldn't hear that chorus. Please make it perfect. To me, it's artificial. It's stupid, and I understand. Some of these guys need to make a living. I don't know, Dokken. I'm sure that guy's loaded, but there's other bands, and I'm sure that like the Bullet Boys. I'm sure that the guy needs fucking money. So let's do some backing tracks. I can't.
And by the way, not to say that the Bullet Boys use backing tracks. I don't know if that's.
Hold on.
What I'm saying is that's a band that goes in tour.
Sure, but if people are watching, I don't want people to think
Have you ever had
that was speculation?
Never had Bullet Boys. No.
All right, I'm about to ruin that right now. Fuck the Bullet Boys. Mark Torian, you're a fucking asshole.
Is it for something in real life?
I got into a fight with him on Instagram a couple years ago just because I said his new album wasn't that good. Fucking jerk off. Anyways,
I think real music.
I'm gonna get fired for this.
In any other profession,
I should not drink while doing
in any other profession, it would be you can't make fake pizza. You can't make fucking clothes that are fake. But musicians, you can pipe it in. I just think it's stupid. I just think it's silly.
You know what? But it's you brought up Dokken, and the one thing that I will say is, listen, the new record was amazing. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, you know what it is?
Dokken is a big band, for me.
But if I could just say what made that album great too is Don knows that he's not trying to hit these high notes.
It's just like when they released that song with the whole band, like when it was the original lineup and they did that one last song. The song was great, but live. The one thing that I get when it comes to a live band, hair bands don't make that much money off their recordings anymore because listen, as much as I like the new Dokken album, who the fuck is going out there and being like, yeah, I really want a new Dokken album?
You and I.
No, nobody really wants that. Listen, I like it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say that I don't, but these bands, it's just look at a band like White Lion. Everybody's going off of, they're making their money because people want to hear Wait and When the Children Cry.
Sure.
They don't want to hear a brand new fucking song from Tramp.
I'll give you an
example. So that's why
too.
they just keep going. Don knows that he probably should have retired 15 years ago.
Okay.
But he just can't because he needs money. What is he going to go work at Home Depot?
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying this episode with the guys from Electrocutioner. I had a lot of fun this episode. I love talking thrash metal and live shows, and if bands should use tracks, should they not use tracks. I love all of this discussion, but before we get into more and continue, as always, every show is brought to you by our great friends at Fort Scott Munitions. Fort Scott, the home of Richard Christie from the Howard Stern Show, who I mentioned on here, who is the drummer for Death, and there's Death stuff all over this basement. Fort Scott is a manufacturer of multi-federal patented solid copper and brass CNC-spun ammunition. It's designed to tumble upon impact in soft tissue, leaving devastating wound channels for faster bleed-out and quicker incapacitation. This ammunition was originally developed to innovate and improve on the standard of military-grade ammunition design. It was found that not only did the TUI ammunition outperform competitors in the self-defense industry, but it quickly became apparent that it would be a top contender for hunters alike. With the ammunition being CNC spun, the tolerances are some of the tightest on the market, ensuring that you receive the same results every time you pull that trigger. Fort Scott is available at gun dealers in all 50 states, but you're going to get the best deal through us when you go to FSM.com. You use the promo code BATTLELINE for 15% off your order. That includes the new range ammo, so check it out, FSM.com. Promo code BATTLELINE. And if you are in the market for night vision and you want high quality night vision, I'm talking like premium night vision, there is no better place to go than Photonis Defense. Now you can have the superpower to see in the dark with the Viper Binocular Night Vision System by Photonis Defense, the global leader in night vision solutions, providing more high quality night vision capabilities than anyone. Military, law enforcement, and public safety end users utilize Photonis Defense solutions to give them the edge at night in tactical situations and rescue operations. Hunters, shooters, boaters, and enthusiasts can rely on the Photonis Defense Viper Binocular to become masters of darkness. The new Viper Binocular system carries the same features and benefits as the Photonis Defense Viper Monocular with a ruggedized body and harnesses the power of the Echo Intensifier tubes, giving you sharper images, reduced halo, and industry-leading ultra-fast auto gating across the range of dynamic operating conditions. So check them out now, photonisdefense.com. That's PHOTONIS defense.com for more information, or look for Photonis Defense product options from your night vision dealer. With that, let's get right back to the guys from Electrocutioner. So I'll give you an example here. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but I became really good friends with Mark Slaughter while I was working at Sopra. Now, so here's the thing with Slaughter, great guys, but yeah, if you look at their set list now, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's always pretty much the exact same thing. And I've gone out to lunch with Mark and just asked him about it, and he's just like, look, if you look at the stats, this is what people are playing on Spotify. And it's like, you may want to hear something like Unknown Destination off their third album. I am in the vast minority. They just want to hear the hits, the songs they know.
They can throw that in.
Covers.
Like they can throw like one deep cut in, but then what's going to happen is it's going to be like, yeah, we're going to play Burning Bridges, Mad About You, Fly to the Angels, and fucking what's the other one? Up All Night.
Up All Night.
Yeah, they're going to do all four of those, and everybody's going to be singing and enjoying every second of it, and then they're going to go into that song, and everybody's going to be like, what?
Let me take a piss. Yeah.
Yeah, like half the venue's going to leave.
Yeah.
That's why it's the same thing with a lot of
not putting out new albums, but hey, Sebastian Bach, we just saw, new album is tremendous, man.
Yeah.
And I think if you're just,
but how many people listen to it?
I love it, but I think if you're a true artist, you have the desire to still put out new music. And for a lot of these bands, it's purely a business. And actually, I was going to say this too. An interesting thing about you three guys is that when people do talk about bands, often they'll say, "Well, you know, many of these bands they're in separate tour buses. They never hang out other than when they're on stage." And people want to have this illusion that the band is a gang.
I hate these fucking guys.
For you guys, truthfully, I know that this is what you do. You drink together, you hang out together, and it actually isn't an illusion that you guys are a three-person gang.
I actually drink with them, and then I forget that they're here, and then just disassociate on the couch, and I'm like, wait a minute, I gotta get home. That's normally what happens.
It's interesting how many famous... I think that's more of a famous band thing, because they get so famous that they just have to keep the show on the road.
Sure.
I don't think there's many underground bands who hate each other and keep going.
I don't think hate, but I think there's a lot of bands.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of bands that, because they're adults with regular jobs and stuff, other than when they're rehearsing or on stage, they don't really see each other. And for you guys, you do.
I've been there.
I think that's weird. I just think, what's the point? I think, like what you said, the word gang, I think a band really should be a menace to society. You know, when you go to the bar, it's like, are we going to you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be a little weird if you don't see the guy, you know?
It's kind of just like, I mean, I've been in bands where, like, one of my last bands, Exhale, me and the singer and guitar player, we were, like, really, really close. And...
I was going to get emo.
Shut the fuck up. Anyways,
Really
I
close.
thought that the band, like, honestly, I thought the music sucked. Like, I wrote one song that was for the band that I loved and still love, and I'm proud of what we did, but, like, I don't really fuck with the music as much anymore. But I stayed in the band for, like, a year, miserable, just because they were friends of mine, and I wanted to just not have them lose a drummer and have them lose the band. Instead, it ended up just ruining our friendship, and I have not talked to any of them since I left the band.
And that kind of sucks, man.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, me and the singer tried, like, kind of squashing everything, and I just didn't work out.
Are you going to cry right now?
You know what?
You might.
Maybe I am. I actually have to cry out of my penis because I need to pee right now. So can I go pee?
Yeah, go for it. We'll keep going here.
Thank God he's gone.
No, we will get into Prong when he's back, man. But yeah. So what do you guys have coming up that for people who are listening?
So I'll go through the list. We got shows in July. We're doing a run in Connecticut. Then we're doing New Jersey Metal Fest with Whiplash, the Mighty Whiplash, where our major influences headlining. August 3rd, we're playing Lindenhurst, Long Island. And then the big thing is the end of August, we got a 3-day triple header with the Texas Speed Metal Blackened Kings here, Sadistic Force. It's going to be
So you see how I said earlier on the show to you guys that you have like a great work-life balance? That's it. So the fact that you do all this while still being a school teacher,
I would say the thing is that we don't have kids, you know. So
Yeah.
like we don't have we got responsibilities, but it's like, you know, we don't have to go to a little league game, you know. We don't have to. We don't have any hobbies. Like Rich is not running a marathon this weekend, so it's like we got to run at the end of August, 8:22 to 8:24 in Brooklyn, Baltimore, and Philadelphia, and just why wouldn't you want to fucking do that? That's a lot more fun than going on a nature hike. So
I don't know how long we've been.
I like nature hikes.
No, nature hikes is cool too, but it's like you want to go play a heavy metal show. It's a lot more fun. So we got that in late August, and then in the nearest of futures, November, we're gonna start recording the album number 2. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's album number 2, but for people who will see, who go to your Bandcamp and all that, you guys have EPs that preceded.
It's going to be the best thing we ever wrote because I had a hand in it this time.
Well, hey,
we have 2 EPs and 1 album. So
we should get into your background because, and this is the thing that hopefully, if you guys at Blabbermouth are listening, maybe we'll get a little article on this. So.
Everybody's going to think I'm the biggest jerk off listening to this thing. I hope no one listens to me.
People will be listening. But, so you are in the band Prong, legendary New York band, and I think the interesting thing, too, is you probably were not even born when Prong started.
Nope.
So
That's actually the ongoing joke on stage when right before we play Disbelief, Tommy will constantly say, he's like, yeah, he wasn't even born when this song came out, and I was like, yeah, I
Which
was
is
not.
pretty wild.
Yeah, I was about. That song came out in 1987. The band started in '86. I was born in '99.
Wow. Yeah,
So
that's-
what? 13
You were
years?
so much younger than us. So, okay, what's the story behind meeting the guys in Prong, becoming the drummer? Because, like I said, legendary band.
Yeah, it's funny because I tell Tommy all the time. Like when I was a kid, I don't even know how I found out about them. Maybe I found it on like one of like Music Choice or whatever. But I remember going when I was a kid. Going on FrostWire and illegally downloading Carved into Stone when it came out. And I remember walking around my grandparents' living room, which is now my living room since I live there now. Walking around just listening to Eternal Heat, and then now, 12 years later after that came out, I'm playing it with them, which is wild to even say. But Griffin, the drummer before, has been a good friend of mine for years. He's one of the best drummers I've ever met. Even learning his parts off of the newest record is a pain in the ass, and I curse him pretty much daily for it. Me and him were talking. They happened to be playing on Long Island. I was like, yo, I'll definitely be at the show. He's like, oh, well, I need a drum tech. You want to do it? I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. Because Tommy's been like, I've been looking at Tommy like an idol for years now. And he messaged me. He's like, all right, so be here at this time, whatever. Went to the rehearsal, met him. We did 2 shows together where I teched. Me and Tommy got along very well because he doesn't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, bud. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, bud. But he doesn't know many kids that like listen to Killing Joke. And that's one of my favorite bands. That's one of his favorite bands. If you listen to any Prong song, you could definitely hear the Jazz Coleman influence on his vocals, which is something that I grew very much in love with from all my years of listening to them. Me and him just started hitting it off about that, just shit talking. Like, we got along great. Tommy took my number down. A couple months later, Griffin ended up leaving because he's in the band Adam and the Metal Hawks. So he went on to go do that. Tommy gave me a call about an audition. I showed up to the audition. He still makes fun of me for this. With these fucking construction headphones that I use to, as earplugs.
Sure.
But they made the drums sound great. Whenever you put those things on, and when you hit the toms, it sounds studio quality. I don't give a fuck what he says. But he still makes fun of me for that. He's like, I can't believe I even gave you a second audition. I'm like, fuck you, dude. But I love him to death. I I did
like a
the.
father to me.
We did the show. I mean, we did the rehearsal. I did a second rehearsal. I unfortunately didn't get it. He played one show with another drummer.
Oh, wow.
That way, we were actually at that show.
Yeah. And
it was
I ended up
Dark
seeing him.
Angel and Whiplash
Yep.
and Prong, and I was sitting next to Tyler, and I was like, Tyler, what do you think about this drummer guy who got it over you? And Tyler's like, I'm texting Tommy right now. This guy's fucking up all the parts. And literally, I was like, really? I thought they sounded good. A week later, Tyler's and Prong.
Wow. So, like, how do you not nerd out if this is a band that you grew up listening to and, like, become their peer even though you're much younger?
It's pretty crazy. I mean, just being able to hang out with Tommy has been awesome. He's such a great dude. It was, it's kind of funny because I sat there, like, I'm 25 now, but I was starting to get to the point where I'm like, you know what, maybe I should just focus on getting, like, an actual career and just not worry about playing anymore. And then 2 months later, Tommy calls me. I'm like, all right, well, I guess that's out of the picture.
Yeah, that's one of those, like, amazing signs sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you look at Prong is one of those bands where if you look at the Wikipedia, I mean, it's just like 1 million people have been in this band.
Yeah.
Do you see this being a long-term thing for you, like when they work
I
on
hope.
the next album? Or
I hope. I'm trying to get things moving. I hope. I get along with him great. I know that Jason, Christopher plays with us as well as Dean. Like, it's kind of like a local versus non-local thing. Dean used to be Nita Strauss's bassist.
Oh, wow.
Jason used to be in Corey Taylor's solo band.
nice.
Oh.
So
Who we've had on the podcast?
Corey or Jason?
Corey Taylor.
Oh,
It was a big one for us.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason, I get along with them, both of them great. I mean, whatever lineup's playing, whether it's me, Jason, Tommy, or me, Dean, Tommy.
So they switch it up.
Yeah, it really depends on where the show is. Like the tour that we did was me, Jason, and Tommy. And then now RPM Fest, which is next month, which who knows when this is airing. RPM Fest, that's going to be me, Dean, and Tommy. And
Does
whichever
the audience,
line.
do you think the audience cares if it's like, do they
I don't
prefer
think
a
they
certain
care.
lineup, or-
I don't think anybody really cares. I've seen like comments and everything. One of my favorite comments was,
Who's this douchebag on drums?
well, it was we played King of Clubs. It was the first night of the tour. I think we went live. I don't know, and I like whenever like Prong stuff gets posted, I like to watch it, whether it's the live shows or that, because I'm very critical of my playing. I'll watch that, or like I'll just watch, like I'll read comments just to see who's shitting on me, because I find those comments hysterical.
It's usually me and Rich.
Yeah, usually. But there was one comment that I remember he posted. It was like, some dude just randomly wrote, "Where the fuck is the King of Clubs and who the fuck is Tyler?" Because I was in the video with him, and I was like, that's my favorite comment. My mom commented, she's like, "Did you see what that person wrote?" I was like, yeah, it's hysterical. I'm like, come on. So, yeah, I don't think anybody really cares about the lineup. Obviously, everybody would love the original lineup. Like, everybody would love Ted Parsons back. Learning his parts is a pain in the ass. The dude's one of the best drummers I've ever had to learn parts for.
Yeah.
Him and Griffin both. Tommy's had a fair share of great drummers. Learning their parts is a nightmare.
Yeah.
But they're all great. Like, I'll what the fuck was the song? Lost and Found. We were jamming at soundcheck. I like had it. I was like, yeah, it sounds good. And Tommy's like, yeah, it sounds good. And then Jason pops on. He's like, now playing the part right. I was like, thanks. Now you just brought that to Tommy, and now Tommy knows I'm not playing the part right. So then I had to figure out how to learn it. So it's always been a fun thing learning with them. I felt like I was brought on the tour just to figure out how to fix the TVs for them.
But it is cool, like, being able to do something with a band you respect. Because I can tell you just from,
Yeah.
as I was saying, Corey Taylor, having him on the podcast, or Don Dock, and, like, as I interview these people sometimes, I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, 15-year-old me would be freaking out.
Oh,
And
that's
I don't
exactly
think that
what
ever
I said.
loses you.
It's actually
or you don't
funny.
ever lose that.
Because, speaking of something like that, I joined the band on a Friday. Like, I went to his house, we jammed, and I was like, alright, so what's the movie for? He's like, yeah, I think that's going to be the case. He was nervous about me because I never did a tour before, so, like, I didn't get to do the first 2 European tours that happened. So my first tour ended up being the Voivod one. But I played all the shows in between, like any local shows. But I joined the band on Friday. Monday morning, I was at work. My buddy walks up to me, and he's like, you're playing the parking lot? I was like, the fuck are you talking about? He's like, you're playing the parking lot? I'm like, what are you talking about?
I know what you're talking about now.
Shows me my phone, like shows me his phone, and it says Metallica pre-show party, Prong at MetLife Stadium parking lot. I'm like, what? I had no idea what was happening.
Was that day 1 or day 2? Because they had the different openers.
That was day 1.
So that was with Pantera. Wow.
Yeah. So
I got there so late. I was
dude,
there.
Dude, that alone, I was just like, what the fuck is going on in my life right now? And I texted Tommy immediately. I was like, what? And I wrote LOL, and he's like, why are you laughing? I was like, because I wasn't expecting to wake up this morning to find out I'm opening for fucking Metallica, dude. He's like, you don't think you can handle it? I was like, no, I definitely can. But holy shit.
It was a cool idea how it was an unofficial couple of bands that went on before the actual... Yeah. I mean, the fact that Metallica was doing this whole thing where it's like two shows every city that they play, different lineup of songs, different set list, different openers every night, and then a different band playing in the parking lot before. I mean, how many bands you wish would do something like that? I mean, not many can do what Metallica does, but what an awesome idea. And, I mean, I remember leaving that show, and there were the people you would hear going by, man, I didn't even play Enter Sandman. But, like, I think for the diehard fan, they're like, this is what we wanted to see.
That's exactly what I wanted to see. Like, and it's also really cool because not even just for Prong and Overkill. The next show that they did, I think was in St. Louis or something like that. I don't remember exactly where. But they did... I remember they had a bunch of younger bands, like Spirit World played. I think Fugitive.
Really?
I think. It was it was a band that sounded like Fugitive. Or maybe it was them. I remember that they had them. So it's also based on the fact that, like, listen, the fact that I was able to play that show, it's actually funny because Jason Bittner was supposed to do the whole set, and then he happened to catch COVID about 2 days prior to the set. I walked into Tommy's house, and he was just like, well, guess what? I was like, what? He's like, you're playing the whole set. I'm like, what? Because I was only supposed to play like 2 or 3 songs.
Wow.
I was supposed to do the new ones, and Jason was supposed to do the whole rest of the set. And he's like, Jason called COVID. You're up. I'm like, okay. It blew my mind.
I got there super late because of the traffic, so I didn't see you guys. I mean, what was the vibe of playing the parking lot prior to Metallica?
So we had a little bit of issues, like generator issues prior. We were supposed to go on at 3 o'clock. We didn't go on until like 3:30, 3:40 because the original generator they had wasn't powerful enough. Like, we sound checked, and then the PA cut, like, near the end. And then there was an issue with his amp. Like, they cut the power, and his amp was still on, and it almost fried his amp. Like, it was a shit show prior to. And then we played the show, like, no. I'm tripping over my words now. But...
This is why you don't drink prior now.
Yeah, that's exactly why.
I need another beer.
I need one too, bud.
Alright, keep going, guys.
So we did the first generator wasn't powerful enough. The second one was too powerful.
Okay.
Which blew my mind.
What does that mean?
That's a thing?
Yeah, apparently it was too powerful.
I did not know.
I don't know. I don't remember what exactly happened with it, but I remember it was too powerful. Fucking Modelo, really? All right. It was too powerful. And then at that time it was like 2:45, and then they're like, "All right, we have to go get another generator." I'm like, "Come on! Like, what's going on?" Like, and our set was supposed to be from 3 to 4. So we had to talk to the guy, like, can we just extend it to like 4:30? And then now we're sitting backstage. We're all stressing out a little bit, trying to figure out what songs to cut, what to keep. And then we finally got on around like 3:40, and I remember walking out and like I was nervous as all hell prior to it. The later that we kept going on, the more the anxiety went away. By the time we went on, I remember walking on stage. I forgot, I had a beer in my hand, I think, or water, whatever the fuck I had. But I remember walking on stage, and I have it on video. You could see me just look at the crowd and go, holy shit. Because normally, like literally the next week, I played with them to about 12 people at Kingsland.
12 badass people.
Oh yeah.
He's running parking lot people. Indoor
pit was
thrash
sick.
metal.
Yeah. The pit around the fucking bar at Kingsland.
My uncle was like, you played in a parking lot. No, sold the whole story. Like, yeah, but you played in the parking lot.
They set up a stage for us, it counts.
Yeah, but you played in a parking lot.
But
I was like, it was metallic. He's like, but it was a parking lot.
But we did by the time I walked on stage, I looked, I was like, holy shit, it had to have been at least close to 4,000 people out there.
It's wild too because it was almost like a secret show. I know there were flyers and stuff, but
Yeah.
like, I went to that show. I had no idea about this. My friend actually told me he was with, but I had no idea. And it was someone else opened the other day.
Overkill.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
So it was
And big bands. Yeah.
The only difference was like the Overkill show definitely had a little bit more people, but that's also
People
because
probably also knew from day one.
that, and it was also a Sunday as compared to us was a Friday.
Yeah.
So like if it was a Saturday, people would have been off work, we would have more. But the other thing was there were also a lot more people. So I could say there were 4,000 people in like the area that we were playing in, but it was gated off, and you had people hanging on outside because inside they were charging you for beer. Outside they were not. So you could have your fucking cooler right next to you drinking fucking 50 of these things for $12. Meanwhile, inside you get one and it's like 94 fucking...
I don't know about 94,
I don't know why I
but a
just
lot.
said it with that weird accent, but yeah.
No,
it's-
that must have been an amazing experience.
Yeah,
right?
it was absolutely like crazy. I have a bunch of videos that people were posting, and it's like some people that posted, like I got to meet some amazing people even through the tour. Like some of my all-time like heroes were just hanging out at the tour and just
Like
talking
who?
to me. I ended up meeting Chris Contos from Machine Head, who Machine Head's one of my favorite bands ever, and Burn My Eyes is
They were at the Fear
Top
Factory.
five.
They were the headliner of the Fear Factory.
He's in
show.
Forbidden now, right?
Yeah. And if it was not for that intro drum fill to Davidian, I mean, I don't know where I would be right now. That whole record is one of the main reasons I play drums. But
Oh yeah.
between Contos I met, I got to meet Glenn Danzig.
Sweet.
Very nice guy.
Which that's rare to hear.
Yeah. He was a very nice guy. I was glad I got to meet him. It was definitely, like, I was hanging out in the room, and then Tommy's like, you want to meet Glenn? I was like,
Because I feel like
Fuck yeah, I do.
Danzig is one of those guys you hear the reputation of like don't meet your heroes type of
Yeah.
guy.
I've met Danzig 2 or 3 times. He's always a gentleman, man. I think he's just those internet meme fuckers. Like
Oh
they're
well,
just-
the
yeah.
Northside Kings guy punching
Yeah,
him.
or just like anybody who thinks he's like a meme. I've met him a few times. He's the type of guy I want to hang out with. Like he doesn't take any bullshit. He hates fucking.
it's the
posers.
people with their phones that are like, oh
Yeah.
my god,
Well, yeah,
Glenn!
I know. Also, yeah, when I saw it, I didn't see the whole show because it was like a scheduling thing. But I saw Super Joint Ritual because I wanted to see them open for Danzig in Mass quite a few years ago, and I know that was the thing you couldn't have cell phones out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
But that's the same
like,
thing for
I
Tool.
like.
I don't like that, but whatever.
Yeah, but don't you like the idea of
No.
being in the moment like it's 1985?
No, I'm not a
or-
North Korean, Ian. I like freedom. But either way, I've met Danzig multiple times, and he's. But you know what? Like I actually was backstage 2 times with Danzig. One time I met him backstage, and the girls were just like, "Can I take a selfie?" He was just like, "No." And it's like, yeah, why would you ask him that? Like, don't you know anything about him? Like, I just think that most people who think he's a dick probably don't understand what you mean. Like, besides metal guy, he's punk royalty. It's
Yeah,
like, don't
some
you
people
get-
just don't.
Don't you get what you're meaning?
You ever see?
He's a I asked him questions, and he was super nice. I was like, "Yo, when you wrote all the Misfits songs, like, what guitar did you write those on?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Lance Paul Jr., man." I was like, "Hell yeah, thanks, dude."
That's
Super nice. Talked to him for a few minutes. No problems.
Yeah, it's the same thing with
But these guys who say, "Can you sign my bootleg?" You'll find
Well,
it's like,
I'll see.
no.
I'll see if Harold could insert it into here. But you ever see like when Robert Smith was on the red carpet for getting inducted into the Hall of Fame?
No.
Oh, so I'm gonna have
The
Harold
Cure?
put it here.
Because this will be everything. Hi, guys. Thank you. Hey, how are you? I'm Carrie. It's so nice to meet you. Hi. Congratulations, The Cure, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees 2019. Are you as excited as I am?
By the sounds of it, no.
Oh, no. What are we going to do?
I'm sure we'll get there eventually. It's a bit early, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it is. Maybe we just need a few drinks.
God forbid.
It's weird because I was saying to Trent earlier, this is completely different to singing. It's much more difficult.
Is there anything special about this night for you? Is this something that you've ever thought about? Is this something that you've wanted?
This is where half of my brain's saying, come on, say the right thing.
Okay.
Subsumed into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame despite all our best attempts. You just can't win, can you?
You win in my book.
But it's so funny because this chick is like super peppy and amped up, and Robert Smith is like the
Right.
quintessential emo
Depressed
guy.
motherfucker.
Yeah, and she's like, Robert Smith, The Cure, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How do you feel? Are you as excited as me? And then he just goes, by the sounds of it, no. He's so great. Yeah. So I mean, that's like the Danzig. Like you know who this guy is. Approach him the way that you know you
Yeah,
should.
I'm not a.
It's like the same people. Like, I'm good friends with the Portnoys, and there's
I didn't know there was more than one. I just know the drummer from.
well, yeah, but like the
wife,
whole
too.
his
Okay.
wife, his son Max is a good friend of mine. I love that kid. But Mike sometimes has a reputation that he's not a nice guy. Every time I met him, been one of the nicest dudes I've ever met. So it's just people catch others either on. I can tell you, like, listen, it was my first tour, but there were definitely people that came up to me, like they were like, "Oh, can I have an autograph and everything?" Like it was weird, but it's definitely happened where like.
And are you signing a prong album you never played on? Like,
every time someone brought me like a prong album, I'm like, I didn't play on this, right?
yeah, because that's
But-
got to be weird.
It definitely is weird, but like I signed a couple things, like whether it was like a flyer or whatever.
Breasts.
Yeah, I did sign my first pair of tits. It was great. You know what? Let's cut that back. I did sign my first pair of breasts. I don't know if tits is technically politically correct anymore.
You signed with
We're
some
not a
bars.
politically
We're
correct
not in North
podcast.
Korea, dude.
But
Fuck North Korea for the record, by the way.
I agree. But we like I would sign stuff and like I would walk right off the bus. I forgot where it fucking was, but I walked right off the bus and someone was immediately right there, like, "Hey, Tyler," and I was like, "Listen, it's an honor to be able to sign anything.
Yeah.
It's great." But how I felt after one day,
You sound like a dick.
it's not good.
No, I get what you're saying. 'Cause
After one day of doing it, like, listen, I'll sign anything for anybody. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's an honor that people even
I think
want
you're
me
saying
to
it's
do
just
that.
weird, right? That you're signing
It's not
stuff
even,
you had nothing to do
no,
with.
No, not
Okay.
even that. Not even that. It's just like for somebody like Mike Portnoy, Glenn Danzig, or fucking whoever, like any big name.
Yeah.
One day of me getting
Oh, yeah.
pounded, I was just like,
Right.
whoa, okay, that's a lot. Think about it for 20, 30 years.
So there's
You get one shit day, like somebody runs into you at a supermarket or something, and you're just
For
like,
sure.
I really
Sure,
don't
you're
want to
sick.
deal with this
You're
today.
sick,
Well, you talking
Yeah.
about the autographing thing. There's a short documentary that ESPN did. It wasn't a full 30 for 30. It was like an 8-minute thing on Pete Rose. And because
yeah.
Pete Rose is banned from baseball, I don't think he's currently doing it, but he was at a this upstairs place at a Las Vegas casino, and every single day, like Groundhog Day, they would go, "Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Hustle, Pete Rose," and just signs baseballs for like hours and hours on end. He'll sign it. He'll sign it.
Mr. 3000?
No, sign. I shouldn't have bet on baseball
Oh, wow.
if for like an extra fee. But like he's very honest during the documentary, and he's like, "Look, this is what I need to do to make money." He's like, "I don't want to be here in Vegas. I'd rather be in New York or L.A. But I have to be here to make this amount of money."
Yeah.
and
He's a
it just
WWE
has to be
Hall of
weird
Famer.
to be a guy who is an absolutely legendary baseball player with that skill level. And because you've been banned from the sport, your life is now just I sit at a desk and sign baseballs for 8
It's
hours.
just like any WWE superstar that ends up like, you look at the ones that get rushed at the airport. Like, you could watch paparazzi and TMZ videos of, like, whoever it is, like Rey Mysterio or fucking
we're from
Randy
Long Island.
Orton that are just, like, getting bombarded at airports and everything. And it's just like, these guys have a right to, like, listen, if you don't want to take a picture with somebody or you don't want to, like, sign something,
Look,
sucks to suck, dude.
We're from Long Island, and I'm just gonna say, Long Island wrestlers, MJF, fuck you. You're the biggest mark. You're a cancer to wrestling.
Who's MJF? I don't even know.
Alright, you know what? Fuck him, MJF, I love you.
Let me go off. MJF is like the big guy in AEW.
Okay.
MJF fucking rules.
He's a theater kid. He's a soft emo theater kid who thinks he's like.
I hope
I think I know what you're talking
Yeah,
I
about.
hope
exactly.
to God
Yeah.
that he sees
Zip
this,
it.
which
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not going to.
And
But I hope
I-
to God he does,
and
and
I
he just
hope-
rips on your
And I hope
ass.
he's no. I hope he doesn't rip on my ass. I hope he sends me coordinates to meet him at 1 a.m. in an alleyway, and I'll show him what's up. So I've seen that.
Yeah, when he fucking
No,
buries you?
No, let me go off. He's a theater emo kid. And let me tell you something. I've seen videos of him where he goes in an elevator.
I
and
cut
he's
the promo, bud.
He's like in an elevator, and like some guy's trying to get in the elevator. He's like, "Come in this elevator, and I'll fucking kill you." And it's like, dude, you are not Harley Race. You're not a real tough guy. I can't stand MJF. And I was at Nassau Coliseum, and I held the sign, "MJF needs my doll." And I was on TV all over.
Yeah, you almost killed Edge.
Take your my doll. I almost killed. We're a Long Island thrash band, but we do not claim MJF.
I do.
No, he's emo.
This is actually a good
He
question. man.
listens to
There-
fucking the Killers, and he listens to.
So wait, this
The
is
Bright Side will be his wedding song.
this-
He's so
Alright, but
fucking
Killers
big.
got some good
this
tracks.
is a good question because
I hate his
normally
guts.
I do this show.
You die.
We have people from all over the U.S. You know, as guests and stuff. But yeah, the four of us Long Island guys, like there's so many people from Long Island from here, which is pretty crazy.
Bismarck, he went to my high school.
So this is what I'm going to ask then. Favorite Long Island celebrity?
Oh, fuck.
First off, we are in Deer Park, New York, right now.
Yeah.
And Rich.
If he
May
says what
went
I
to Deer
think
Park
he's
High
going to
School.
say, I'm going to punch him in the face.
You don't even know what to say. There's only like two famous people. Well, besides, whatever.
What are you
There's
going to
only-
say?
I
Right
know
now,
what he's gonna say.
currently, this is a new thing. The CEO of YouTube is from Deer Park, New York, which is wild.
Really?
No, that's not going to be your favorite.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What?
But
I didn't even know that.
from
That's-
Deer Park, New York, the greatest celebrity, and all of Long Island, is Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
no,
wrote
I
him
didn't
in-
know that's what he was
You
gonna
I
say.
wrote him an email.
I was going
from
for Virgin
17
Steel. That's what I was thinking.
Virgin Steel's from Deer Park. A lot of great
I know.
guys. The guitar player Mike Scotch from Rigor Mortis from Babylon. Most people think he's from Texas. But anyways, I wrote Rodney Dangerfield an email in 8th grade. And I wrote, "Is it true you're from Deer Park, New York?" Because this is like 1999.
Yeah, there's
you
no
couldn't
Wikipedia,
find that
there's
shit.
no- yeah.
It just said like New York City. And he wrote me back. He's like, "Yeah, I grew up."
like you're doing the typing.
Yeah, I grew up, and he wrote, because I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. He wrote back, "That's true, I grew up near Dr. Sal's," which I don't know what the fuck near Dr. There's no Dr. Sal's over here. But I was like, Rodney Dangerfield. And no offense, I wrote to the government of Babylon, we need a Rodney Dangerfield statue in Deer Park. He gets no respect. He gets no respect. He should have a statue, right? Mole's on fire.
Yeah, we just have Billy Joel everything. So, all
I
right,
fuck
favorite
Billy
Long
Joel.
Island
dude,
celebrities.
I don't give a fuck
Well,
about
Rodney
Billy Joel.
Dangerfield's up there.
Totally stole mine because I was like,
Rodney
that-
Dangerfield's
yeah,
he's
I'm
from
a-
Deer Park.
I didn't even know that.
I'm a big
I'll just
Tim
say.
Dillon fan, and I also feel like Tim Dillon just reps Long
Tim
Island so
Dillon
hard.
he's had 3 boosters. He's a COVID vax sheep. I'm just kidding.
I like Tim Dillon.
I'm just kidding. I know he's the opposite of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would
It's
say
like-
Rodney Dangerfield's top. Let's say top 5.
yeah.
Got Chuck D's got to be in there. Rodney
I feel like you
Dangerfield.
have to have Billy Joel. You kind of just have to.
Nah, Billy Joel
fuck Billy
sucks
Joel, dude.
ass. Terrible.
Um,
I'd rather have D. Snyder than Billy
Technically,
Sloan.
Yeah,
I
that's
think he
true.
moved
Yo,
to
Stay
Canada.
Hungry is a great record.
I think he moved. I worked for D. Snyder. Technically,
Chris
I think he
Jericho?
moved- That's what I was say. Chris
Yeah,
Jericho. I think he
yeah,
moved to
that's what it
Canada,
is.
But he's from
From
Manhasset.
New York. Yeah, the
fucking learning tree, bud.
Chris Jericho's from Long Island. Who else? Oh, Chuck Schuldiner from Death is from Long Island. People think he was in Florida. No, Valley Stream, New York.
Was he Valley?
Absolutely.
Prodigy
Chuck
from Mobb
Schuldiner.
Deep, R.I.P.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like Queens, Brooklyn.
No,
did
I
we
think it's
draw
from
that?
Hempstead. I think it was from
No,
Hempstead.
but did we, Busta Rhymes too?
Yeah, Busta
But
Rhymes.
did we draw the line
Bismarcky
at
was-
Brooklyn and Queens?
No, I'm saying Hempstead.
I'm just saying, because if you want to claim... Because Brooklyn,
No,
the
Queens,
all
you would
Long
have
Island.
Nas, you would have,
Biggie and shit.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
No, I'm just keeping it Long Island.
Bismarcky was Middle Island.
John Carpenter from Massapequa, New York, man. Come on. John
A
Carpenter's
lot of
top five.
legendary bands.
Tommy
like
Victor.
Last Jaw.
Yeah, we got Ludacris, we got Virgin Steel. What are the other thrash bands? Suffocation, Quorum, out
Yep.
east. We've got a lot of Cold Steel's thrash band. We've got Ludacris, Crumb Suckers.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we like, you know what's funny, because I
Christmas
said the
Sisters Long
audience
Island.
is from all over the place, and yeah, there's like no one notable a lot of times from where they're from.
Right.
So it is cool how, although our sponsor, which you're going to hear, we probably heard from here.
Let's do a commercial for them.
We will. I will do a mid-show.
Anderson Windows.
Are we getting a cut of the sponsor?
I was going to say our biggest sponsor is Fort Scott Munitions, which I've been to Fort Scott, Kansas, and it's truly, like, it's beautiful, but it's truly middle of nowhere. But the great Richard Christie is from there, which is pretty cool.
And
so I got to see
now
Taco
here's the thing.
Tico and all that while I was there.
I've met my favorite Richard. Me and my wife have met Richard 3 or 4 times. I've emailed him a few
He's
times.
a great guy. I worked at Sirius, so I would see
He's
him
a
and Sal all the
great
time.
guy.
Great guys.
I've talked to him. So my wife and I were. Well, she's more of a death freak than I, but we actually have Chuck Schuldiner's notebook. We bought his notebook.
How much did she pay for that?
Fucking ask me how much money
How
we
much
paid
did
for
you
things.
pay for a personal
Well, not only
notebook?
did it come from his personal notebook with lyrics and shit, it came. I got Chuck Schuldiner's.
So did she pay hundreds for that? I mean, like, how much?
Stop counting other people's money in. But we got,
I've never thought to buy someone's notebook.
I'd be honest. It was about. I think it was like $1,200, but it came.
Get
with,
the fuck out of
It
here!
came with, hold on. It came with Chuck Schuldiner's notebook, which has lyrics.
To come with his fucking ashes too?
No, just listen. Original handwritten lyrics. You could sell one page of those lyrics for $1,000. Band logos that he was drawing for After Death, before Control Denied. I got his original Kiss Army card. Chuck Schuldiner's
cool.
Army card. I got Death merchandise sheets for his T-shirts that like they would send.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. But one of the things I was talking to Richard Christie about, I sent him a picture of it, is Richard Christie met Chuck Schuldiner in a bookstore, and Chuck Schuldiner was learning how to like burn CDs, and he was reading a book, and Richard just talked to him and said, "Hey man, that's what he goes." And in the notebook I have, Chuck Schuldiner has a page in the notebook that says how to burn CDs, and it's a step-by-step process of how to burn a CD. And I sent it to him, I was like, "Yo, this is the day you met him. Like this is what he was writing down in that book. It's fucking
that's
cool."
crazy.
And Chuck was like, Richard was like, "Thank you so much."
That really is cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy, man. I've met him a few times, and it's funny. I met him, and I met him a year later and talked to him. He's like, "Hi, Amanda, Mark, how are you?"
Nice.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I love Richard Christie, man.
So-
Sal's my favorite.
So, I
Who's
think
up there? Daryl Palumbo.
I said Glassjaw. I said Glassjaw.
I didn't even hear you say that, but
I
yeah,
actually
Glassjaw's up
ran
there.
into. We'll wrap up here soon, but I was once at the Panera Bread across from Roosevelt Field Mall, and I was wearing a Glassjaw sweatshirt. And some guy came up to me, and he was like, "Hey, I like the crew neck, man." And I'm eating my sandwich. He's like, "Hey, you mind if I sit down with you?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I just thought it was kind of weird. So I was like, all right, he's a fellow Glassjaw fan, I guess. And I said, "Are you going to the show at Nassau Coliseum? Because they're playing with Thrice. I was possibly going to go." He's like, and I wasn't thinking things through.
Well,
And
they're
he
not
goes,
like rock stars where you recognize them
yeah. So he
instantly.
goes, "Yeah, if I'm not there, who the fuck is going to play the guitars?" Because it was Justin Beck from Glassjaw,
yeah.
and he was with his wife Melissa, who was on The Real World. I
didn't know that.
recognized her. Yeah. And
Recognized her,
his-
but not him. Who
I recognized her when he said it. Yeah, I recognized and his daughter Shalom, and it was such a random encounter. Super cool guy though, super cool guy. And we talked about actually going to Hofstra because he was a Hofstra grad,
Yeah.
and we had the same professor of radio, Mario, but great guy. Yeah, good shit. So I was gonna say wrapping things up here because we could talk so much, but.
Where's the Chappelle Show wrap it up button?
No, I have one more question. There's other stuff you guys want to get into, but you know from the show because you've been a long time listener. Like Battle Line Podcast is something Chris and I started with
switch
Chris's
is
background, Yeah, as an Army Ranger,
Tell Chris,
CIA
big,
contractor.
I admire that fucking guy. He's a badass. He's a real man. So
he is, unlike me. But CIA contractor. So the show was originally what? The show.
Cut that out. I don't need to get fucking.
The show was originally, and this is normally we've on like Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, MARSOC guys, a lot of contractors. But kind of me coming in with my background, I love to bring bands on, and somehow it's kind of worked out, and we're able to have these versatile guests. But I do always try to tie everything back to the military theme in some way. None of us have served, but any.
I fucking hate the fire department.
Okay. Well, don't say anything bad about the military. But so anyway, any military tie for any of you guys, whether it's family, friends, or just any experiences you've had. So actually, start with Rich because he hasn't talked enough.
Rich never talks. He's like a fucking alien.
I answer the tech questions.
So any military connect, any friends, family, or anything like that for you? Or anything you just want to say about the military?
Background? I don't really know. I know my grandfather served. I forgot which war, but that's
probably World War II, right? I mean, if it's my grandpa's age, so
Korean.
Yeah.
Could have been.
All right. So anything with you guys?
Actually, my grandfather on my father's side, he was in, I believe, Korea, and he actually he worked on Air Force One. Actually, my grandfather was in the Air Force. Yeah, it was cool. My other grandfather.
My grandfather did too.
That's fucking cool. I wonder if they knew each other.
That's crazy. I can't ask my grandfather because he's 6 feet under.
Yeah, mine too. He's rest in peace. My other grandfather, Korea as well. He used to tell me great stories. Though he worked in Germany too, when it was still separated. He would after he got to Korea, his job was to deliver the mail. But he always told me this great story. Also, rest in peace. But he used to say like, the military curfew was like 10 p.m. So my grandfather was just like, I want to go to a fucking bar. It's like I'm in Germany. I'm stationed out here for years. He was in Iran. I got a chessboard from Iran he brought home from the military, but
that's cool.
Yeah, he went to Germany. He'd be in the bar like midnight, and they're like, "We're gonna report you. You're out." And he's like, "You want your fucking mail? Because I ain't gonna deliver you mail if you report me." Because he's delivering the mail, so that's how he would be trained. And I actually tried to join the military.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually funny. Right out of high school, the Marines called my house. And I said, "I want to join." I signed up and everything, and my grandmother. My grandfather had passed away. She called me up. She said, "Don't join the military." I mean, this is 2004. This was right when the Iraq War started. Right before it happened, or maybe when it was kicking in. I don't remember.
I think that was around that time.
Yeah, my grandmother was like, "Don't join the military." And I had the guy coming to the recruiter who was going to come to my house the next day, and my parents called the guy up and said, "You can't come to this house." They canceled on him. So
wow. Do you regret it?
I totally regret it.
Really? Because I will say with this audience, so.
I'm an extremist, not in a political way.
Yeah.
Like one of my old jobs, I was basically like a hostage negotiator. I used to talk to people who would try to kill themselves all the time, and I would save them all the time. People would try to fucking shit to their neck, and I would talk to them all the time. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I used to work in a school for very psychologically disturbed people. They'd cut their fucking arms. The girl would throw her stuff off a 3-story balcony, and we'd get her and we'd talk to her, trying to kill herself. And I would never panic. I'm like an extremist, not politically, but I just like that. Like I could have been a good cop too, because I like when shit goes down. I'm always calm, And I like it gives me I need action in my life, so I regret that because I always wanted that.
I'll give you action.
Because now I like when I work these jobs, I'm like a normal person. I'm just like I don't fit in here. I should have been like in the fucking. So I totally.
So and I was going to say,
but it might have been the timing of the war. It might have been a good thing.
It is interesting you say that though. So how Tyler was saying about like signing, CDs and all. The closest thing to celebrity for me, which I don't consider myself anyone, but like when I go to Vegas during SHOT Show, mainly when it was with SOFREP, I met so many listeners of the podcast that I did, and SOFREP, much like this audience, very much a split of like 50% military, 50% civilians who listen. And I personally never felt this way. I've always had a great respect for the military, especially the spec ops guys that I've met. But so many of the civilians that I would meet in Vegas would be like, man, I regret that I didn't join. And it's something that's like weighs them down.
Yeah, I really, to this day, I wish, even sometimes like when I watch the news, I go, fuck, man. I'd be a great interrogator or like an analyst because I I love. I don't give a shit about politics, but I like.
Yeah, you do. We talk politics.
No.
all the
But I
time.
don't. I'm not like invested in it. Like I don't care who wins, but I like analyzing.
do.
That's a lie.
Yeah, that's a lie.
You know what?
Yeah.
He's the first one to be like,
I
I
don't
don't
care.
care about it. And then 2 seconds later, he's like,
No,
yo,
because-
if this guy did
You know what's funny?
this.
Chris is like
No,
that too when he's
that's
on the
my
show.
point. Is I don't care politically. I like analyzing the situation after. Like I like the war game.
But you have your views.
I have my views, but I honestly, at the end of the day, like I find it more fascinating. It's like to me, it's like watching a chess game. I like to say, oh, this guy made this move, but if the other guy did this, I like the tactics of it. I think that's more interesting. So to this day, I totally regret being in the military, but I probably
Not being in the military.
No, yeah, right. I totally regret not being able to serve. I think that would have did a lot for me because then I went crazy.
You never know. I mean, the amount of wars that we've
Right,
had.
I would have been. I probably could have been
Exactly.
because I also am an idiot.
Guys,
Yeah,
guys
we know.
we've had back from guys we've had on the podcast like Mike Schlitz, great guy.
Yeah.
But you know, Mike lost both his arms actually in combat. And,
Right,
and
I don't
severely
mean to
burned his
glamorize
legs,
it,
you know.
yeah.
And it's just those guys who have to come back like that, man. It's a really hard thing to have
Yeah,
to deal
and I've talked to I've had some close family friends, Vietnam vets, and I told them that like, look, man, like from what I saw, like you're lucky you didn't serve because sometimes things happen for a reason, but it's like these things they still weigh on me 30 years later. It's like you
Sure.
something. It's different. I think serving. I mean, I'm not an expert, but it's different serving in a wartime than a peacetime. And 2002 or 3, whenever I was going to enlist, that's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
To be
And
honest.
Tyler, any military connection for you or?
My uncle, my grandfather went in around like Korean War, just like he said, and then my uncle Jimmy went in he did like 3 tours of Iraq, I think.
Oh wow.
He did a good amount, and then they all became cops.
But so I have to ask, why fuck the fire department? Because Chris
All right.
I gotta say, but Chris Rock had a joke about that.
Did he
how
really?
because Chris Rock was talking about like issues with police and stuff, and he was like, "Why do you think there's a song called "Fuck the Police"? There's not a song called "Fuck the Fire Department" because no one has an issue with them."
All right.
So this is the first time I've ever heard this.
Here we go. Ready?
Fuck the mailman too. What's next?
Honestly, yeah.
Oh man.
Actually, funny enough, I was
I
with.
like the mailman. Anyways, let's hear it.
Yeah, mailmen are cool. I literally was drinking a beer with a mailman that was
Apologize to
on.
the fire department.
No. So
He just wants to go down the pole.
So, basically, my issue is my buddy Brandon, my best friend.
Is
Right?
this a really long story? I
No,
think?
no,
Okay.
no.
Cut this off.
Oh man.
My buddy Brandon, like, best friend since I was a kid. I call him up all the time, every time this happens. 1, firefighters. Every time that there's traffic because of an accident is because of them. Because they want to make it a fucking spectacle. Because they're like,
need
oh,
it.
you know what? Let's do a little fender bender. Let's break out the fucking jaws of life. And then they shut the entire fucking street down.
This just sounds like
And
you're
that-
doing a comedy routine. That's
Dude.
what it sounds like.
No, dude, it pisses me off because all of a sudden I'll be sitting in bumper to bumper traffic for 45 minutes. Remember Overkill?
yeah.
Remember, dude, we were coming back from Overkill. Nah, shut the fuck up for a second.
You hate the fire department because you're inconvenienced. That's why you hate them?
Beyond inconvenience. We were in 45-minute bumper to bumper traffic for no fucking reason, just because they wanted to shut the road down because somebody got into a fender bender.
This is
support
also,
And also,
yeah, we do support the fire department. This is also
Nope.
this is how Long Island is though, just in terms of traffic. It's
hold
just
on,
insane,
no.
so.
And here's the other part. Ready? I literally called. So I'll go hang out with my buddy Brandon like when WrestleMania happens, right?
God.
We'll go. Shut the fuck up. We'll go watch WrestleMania at the fire department, and I'll be
That
sitting
sounds
there.
awesome.
Dude,
Right?
I'll walk in. I don't give a fuck. Dude, my tax-paying dollars are... I'm walking in, he's like, yeah, we just bought that guy a PS5. I'm like, for what? He can go home. He's literally just sitting in there waiting for a call like this.
He's fighting fires, man.
Fighting fucking what?
Well, if he's fighting fires, I'll give a guy a PS5. I don't
Yeah.
think that's good.
Dude, and then I walked upstairs.
You
You
ever
got
seen
like...
a house fire? That shit is the scariest thing. to
Dude,
go
I
into.
walk
These guys are
upstairs.
heroes.
I would
walk
agree.
upstairs. He's got this, like, they got like a fucking movie theater seating.
They deserve that, yeah.
And then a giant bar, a fucking foosball table.
That's what they need.
No, Why the fuck do they need a foosball table?
You need to.
Well, I will say this: the battle line audience, the battle line audience, we do have a lot of first responders, firefighters. So yeah, send your hate mail to Tyler.
Yeah.
Just to Tyler, we support them. These guys.
Yeah, Electrocutioner is a band, 2 out of 3. So follow Electrocutioner.
I wouldn't even say 2 out of 3 because Rich hasn't fucking talked this whole time.
Follow Electrocutioner at Electrocutioner.
Please cut that out. I don't want to get fired.
Let him go.
Well, then why are you saying it? We're recording a podcast.
Oh, yeah,
bro.
you know what? You're right. Dude, I'm drunk. Give me a break.
All right.
Cut that.
Let him go. Don't cut it.
Fuck you.
All right. At electrocutioner.thrash on Instagram. Yeah, check out the videos. Heaven's Gate on YouTube. 7 Lamps of Fire on YouTube. The album is False Idols out
7
now.
Lamps of Fire. We support the fire department.
And also Heaven's Gate about the Heaven's Gate Cold. Really cool stuff. So anything else? Anything else we should promote here? This has been a fun conversation.
It's awesome that I won't be in prong after this fucking conversation.
Yeah, that's good, man. Yeah, just check out the Thrash Band. We play real shit. No trendy
No
stuff.
tracks. No tracks.
That's right. I mean, that's fine to do it. No trendy stuff.
Death to tracks?
Sure, I'll take that. Yeah.
I don't mind them.
You know what's funny? We had Escape from LA on this entire
Yeah, we
time,
finished
and
it.
it's literally finished.
That's the cool thing. We watched the whole movie. So check it out, guys. As always, at Battleline Podcast on Instagram, at Battleline. Let me finish our thing here. So at Battleline Podcast on Instagram, at Battleline Pod on X. I know that we switch things up a bit. You know, you guys are used to hearing Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, all that type of stuff. But I just wanted to hang with these guys, and hopefully a lot of you enjoyed it. So we'll be back on Tuesday. Actually, if all things go accordingly with Terry Shepard, hopefully that works. So awesome, guys. Always great doing this for you. And leave us a review if you're listening somewhere like Apple Podcasts. Comment, like, all that good shit.
5 stars.
That's all for this episode of Battleline Podcast. But we're always posting new content on social media. Follow us on Instagram at Battleline Podcast and on Twitter at Battleline Pod. That's an order. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes up every Tuesday. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast platform of choice. Believe in yourself. Face all challenges head on. And as always, never quit.